Slavery was one of the main issues sectionalizing the country before the Civil War. Slavery created political, social, and economic differences between the North and the South. Abolitionists in the North believed that slavery was morally reprehensible, while pro-slavery men in the South needed the institution of slavery to support their agrarian-based economy. The issue of free states versus slave states was the main political issue that was fueling the Civil War conflict. The institution of slavery was a dying practice until 1793, when the invention of the cotton gin reignited the use of slavery. Slavery and the cotton gin can be linked to every main issue that caused the Civil War. This is why Eli Whitney's cotton gin catalyzed the Civil War.
When I was a little bitty baby, my mama would rock me in my cradle in them old cotton fields back home. When I was a little bitty baby, my mama would rock me in my...
Tensions between citizens of the North and the South were catalyzed by the invention of the cotton gin. Cotton was the South's only major crop, and the slaves were needed for cotton to be produced cheaply. The citizens of the South adamantly supported slavery because it would allow them to maintain their lifestyle. On the other hand, the North believed that slavery was morally reprehensible and wanted slavery abolished. The North was trying to stop the usage of the cotton gin and industrialize the South. This created the tension that catalyzed the war. The book Uncle Tom's Cabin by Harriet Beecher Stowe was a fictional but accurate account of a slave's daily life. It depicted daily beatings as well as starvation and subhuman treatment of the slaves. The Northern citizen used this book to show that the slave system was cruel and unjust. This book created even more animosity towards slavery and the usage of the cotton gin from the North. This book heightened the Northern belief that they needed to abolish slavery.
Cotton fields back home.
Cotton was the only major cash source for the South. The Southern economy, while strong, was also very unstable. If the usage of the cotton gin and slavery were halted, the Southern economy would also be destroyed. The South felt that they could survive without the North because they had a strong economy supported by the usage of the cotton gin and slavery. When the North attempted to stop slavery, and with it the usage of the cotton gin, the Northern and Southern tensions rose significantly. When Lincoln was elected in 1860, the South knew that their way of life was about to be altered significantly. This caused them to secede from the Union and launch the Civil War. The issue of states being admitted as free or slave caused even greater sectionalism. If more states were admitted as either slave or free, the balance in Congress would be shifted. This issue was catalyzed by the use of the cotton gin because the South now depended on slavery's existence and the North was bent on abolishing slavery. Both sections were now focused on gaining an advantage over the other. While anti-war proponents were attempting to keep the balance neutral, if the cotton gin invention had not reignited slavery, this issue would not have become as prominent and hostile. The Compromise of 1850 was one of the attempts to keep the balance between slave and free states catalyzed by the invention of the cotton gin. The Compromise of 1850 stated that California would be admitted as a free state. New Mexico and Utah would decide their stance based on popular sovereignty. Texas would be given $10 million. Slave trade in D.C. was abolished, but slavery was still allowed, and a stricter fugitive slave law was created. The South was unhappy with this compromise because they did not benefit as much as the North did. The South wanted slavery preserved, while the North wanted slavery abolished. The animosity created by the Compromise of 1850 was advanced by the Kansas-Nebraska Act. The Kansas-Nebraska Act created the territories of Kansas and Nebraska and allowed them to decide their status based on popular sovereignty. It also repealed the Missouri Compromise, calling it unconstitutional. This created even more tension between the North and the South due to the issue of slavery, which was reignited by the invention of the cotton gin. The Kansas-Nebraska Act resulted in civil war over slavery in Kansas. This civil war was called Bleeding Kansas. This civil war in Kansas eventually became the Civil War.